You know what happens to a toad when it gets struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else.
What do they call you? Wheels?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Franchise Deep Dive with Jake and Josh, the podcast where we dive deep into all of your favorite and least favorite movie franchises. I'm Jake.
And I'm Josh. How do you feel about
And
that line, Jake?
it is one of the only parts of this movie where I felt any sort of emotion.
Had a little bit of a bland watch. It sounds like
This movie, and like I want to start off by saying this is not a bad movie. I like, it's not like the acting is bad, the writing I'm not going to say is amazing, but it's not like it's poorly written. A couple of filmmaking issues I have, and we can break into all that. But my God, this is like what's a good comparison? This is like a piece of unbuttered wheat toast.
oh God,
That's
come
what
on.
that's what this movie is.
Oh,
Where it's
that's like way worse. That's actually bad.
All that to say that this is one of the driest, blandest, like unsalted cracker type of movies that I've seen in a while.
Maybe
That's
just
where
a bowl
I'm
of
at.
shredded wheat or something. I don't know. I'd eat a bowl.
Yeah, it's like
but it ain't. It's nothing that good.
it's like the regular flavor of cornflakes cereal.
That's delicious. So I love
Eh.
cornflakes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but like I like the ones with like the little cut up frozen
It's like
strawberries
Kix.
in them.
It's like Kix.
That's a good comparison.
It's
Yeah.
like it's got the slightest bit of sweetness where it's like it's not bad, but it's like a nothing cereal.
Yeah.
Like I'd never buy it.
No, you'd never go
know.
out of your way. In the same way that I'd never go out of my way to watch this movie. We haven't even said what we're talking about. But if you guys didn't look at the title of this episode, we have moved on from our Scream franchise deep dive. And if you go all the way back to the first Scream movie that we talked about, we had kind of laid out our entire plan for 2026. We have everything mapped out. We tackled the Scream movies leading up to Scream 7. We're recording this before we see Scream 7, so hopefully we liked it. Hopefully it didn't suck. Don't know right now. But either way, I'm sure we'll say in that episode too what the next recommendation is, but obviously we're recording this beforehand, yada yada. But we're doing the first 3 original X-Men movies, so obviously X-Men 1, X2, X-Men United, and then the third film, X-Men The Last Stand. And then from there on, we are doing every single MCU movie from Iron Man leading all the way up to Doomsday in December. But from one of the recent trailers, I believe at this point, Marvel has given us 4 different trailers for Doomsday. And by far and away, the one that caused the most stir online, the most discourse, was probably the X-Men trailer. You had a very old Ian McKellen and very, very old Patrick Stewart having a conversation, some shots of a destroyed X-Men mansion, and then the final shot being Cyclops, James Marsden back as Cyclops, taking his glasses off and letting out like the craziest laser eye blast into the sky. So it seems like the X-Men at the very least will make an appearance in Doomsday. Not sure how big of a role they'll have, but a lot of them were a part of that chair reveal video that came out sometime last year in 2025. So yeah, we figured we needed something to put in between starting Iron Man and then also the end of the Scream series. So we figured the X-Men movies would be a good little trilogy that we could tackle, seeing as, again, they might have a part in the new Doomsday film. And again, I don't know how big it's going to be. But yeah, so we are talking X-Men 1, released in the year 2000, directed by Bryan Singer. We'll do a little IMDb synopsis, and then I'll get into the budget and all that stuff. We'll do a little quick cast rundown as well, as I've been enjoying that recently. In a world where mutants, evolved, superpowered humans, exist and are discriminated against, 2 groups form for an inevitable clash: the Supremacist Brotherhood and the Pacifist X-Men. And right off the bat, the X-Men are very much so not pacifists. Literally, the first thing that we see them do in this movie is fight people. So already lying to us. Little quick cast rundown: Patrick Stewart as Professor X, Hugh Jackman as Logan slash Wolverine, Ian McKellen as Magneto, Famke Janssen as Jean Grey, James Marsden as Cyclops, Halle Berry as Storm, Anna Paquin as Rogue, Tyler Mane as Sabretooth, Ray Park as Toad, Rebecca Raman, I don't know how to say her last name, as Mystique, Bruce Davison as Senator Kelly, and that's kind of the main cast. Obviously, there's some supporting people in there, but that's the core main cast that we're working with in this movie. We'll give a
Yeah,
little rundown.
what's with the pacifist term in the synopsis?
I could not tell you, dude. Like the second I read that, I was like, well, that's just simply not true. The X-Men are like the more peaceful of the two. You know, they're not trying to kill all the humans. But they're like a fucking squadron of mutants that fight people. Like, what are we talking about? Either way, again, directed by Bryan Singer, budget of $75 million, box office of 296.3 mil, Rotten Tomatoes score of 82% from critics, and a Metacritic score of 64 out of 100, and that's based on 34 critic reviews. So that's all the, well, precursor. That's all the setup. And guys, we kind of talked about it. We did a lot of the sort of going scene by scene and talking about things pretty chronologically for the Scream series that we just wrapped up. I don't want to do that for these. I just don't. Especially this first X-Men movie. As like there's not really a plot in this movie. It's a lot of exposition. I don't want to say a lot of world building. It's a decent amount of world building. It's a lot of just setting the foundation, setting things up. I don't know. It's a lot of random scenes just kind of happening one after another. It really sounds like I hate this movie. Like, like I don't.
I think I might like this more than Jake. I don't know.
Well,
I did want to talk about something with this movie because I recently found this out, and I'm still like baffled. But I noticed when you were introducing one of the characters, Cyclops, you mentioned his power. Do we know what his power is?
Yeah, he shoots like laser blasts out of his eyes.
So they're not lasers, I've heard.
Is there like another definition?
I legit thought they were lasers that like melt shit, but apparently, my brother told me that he read that it was like force. It was like a concussive force.
They're
and they're not laser blasts. They're just like beams of energy that like just power, like it's like a punch almost.
It's like with a lot of superheroes, because especially like characters like the X-Men and Scott Summers being one of like the earliest members of the X-Men, there's obviously different writers who have taken different adaptations. So like the power level of his eye blasts has been varied. Often the movies show it in a way that unfiltered, because his visor, his piece of equipment that he covers over his eyes. Without that, often shown in the movies, it's like an extremely powerful blast that'll tear a hole through any and everything. That's why he uses the visor that can like it almost like calibrates like different power levels. There's even a moment in this film where he uses it like the light version of it. He like switches something and he just blasts like a piece of gunk off of Jean's
was crazy. Oh my god. I was like, Jesus. I mean, I guess he knows what he's doing, but
yeah,
it just looks so dangerous.
They're not like it very much just depends on like the comic that you're reading and how powerful that writer wants.
Well, like, are they ever actual lasers? Because like my mind was blown. I always thought it was just straight up laser vision, like laser blasts.
Well,
and
that's
then I read that it's just like.
In like again, like in the movies and in certain comics, when he just has like his glasses and takes them off and it's just like the unfiltered blast from his eyes, that like is lethal in certain like iterations of that character. And I think that's how the way that the movies portray it is like, if he doesn't, like in this movie, he blows a fucking like a huge hole in the roof at the train station when his glasses are ripped off. So again, it's like with a lot of comic characters, the whole accuracy thing's a little bit tough to kind of nail down, just because there's so many different adaptations and iterations of that character. But yeah, like
Okay.
in the game, like if you're playing like an X-Men game or like a side scrolling X-Men beat 'em up fighter or whatever, like yeah, it's gonna look more like just punches knocking somebody down, like little easy blasts that are just nothing
Hmm.
crazy. But yeah, well, and I guess that kind of lends into one of my issues is I'm not the biggest X-Men fan, but I have read a good
Oh.
portion of like I like the X-Men, and especially as a kid, like I think I had mentioned during our discussion about the Raimi Spider-Man films, with Tobey Maguire. I think I had mentioned there that when I was a kid, like my big two were these like early X-Men movies and also the Raimi Spider-Man films. So like I liked them as movies. Comic wise, I've read a decent amount of especially the Chris Claremont run, which is reading Giant Size X-Men #1, which is like the introduction of like the new X-Men team, where that's when Wolverine becomes an X-Men. Why am I blanking? That's when Storm joins the team. And so there's like that's like a lot of like the characters that people really recognize. Like the early team, like before that run, was like Beast, but in this version very early on he wasn't blue, he was just like normal human skin color. The blue fur didn't come until a little bit later. It had like Bobby Drake's
I don't even think I
Iceman.
know that beast. I
Yeah,
just know
yeah,
the blue
the
beast.
blue version. Yeah, so in that
Yeah.
early one. But yeah, so I've read a decent amount of the Chris Claremont run, and then a couple just different one-off little runs over the years. But I'm not as like familiar with them as I am with like Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and whatnot. But I just off just the characters alone, and a lot of it is like the portrayal and how these characters are written. But I don't particularly love the lineup of characters in this movie. I'm not sure like how you feel about them. Like I know you said you're not like the biggest comic reader, so I don't know how much you've read of X-Men, if any. But like how do you feel
No.
about the characters in this movie? Because I just do not enjoy most of them.
So it sounds like your problem is mostly with like their choice of who they wanted to advertise and have in this film rather than like how they're written. I can't tell.
It's
But my
both. Because
so my
the
problem
rogue that we
is
get in this movie is not rogue at all.
yeah, so I've had to read stuff of like, oh, how do these like how does the movie version line up to what people know and like about these characters in the
Yeah.
like comic editions, and a lot of people had a problem with Rogue, and I'm not. I wasn't too big on. Oh, what's her name? Anna.
Paquin?
Who play? Yeah, Paquin. Um, I don't know if you like her in this. I don't.
No.
She just doesn't do it for me. I don't think she's that good in this. Um, and yeah, I've read that like Rogue is not really. There was like two other characters that they said was more in line with how they wrote Rogue in
Yes.
this.
It's
Is it Jubilee?
Jubilee and Kitty Pride. So they kind
Yes.
of take
Yeah.
a lot of the characteristics of those characters, and especially like in
Yeah.
certain iterations of the comic. And I don't know if you ever watched like the old 90s X-Men cartoon back in the day,
Some. Yeah.
but Jubilee in that show is kind of like the audience POV character. She's kind of how we're introduced to the world and the
Right.
X-Men, and they just take a lot of that and then give it to Rogue in this movie. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, Jubilee and Kitty Pryde, and especially comic or animated version of Rogue, they have like an actual personality, and they don't just deliver everything like a bland piece of cardboard.
Yeah, so she didn't really do it for me, and she's like a big center point, obviously, in this movie. But also, I'm not that big on Cyclops in this or Jean Grey in this one. I don't like that weird love triangle they're doing with Wolverine and them too. It just doesn't work. It's very like empty, and it just I don't know if they ever do that in the comic books or an animated series, but it just
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels random. It feels like it doesn't have purpose, and you don't really get much of it. It's just kind of like there. I don't know how there's Jean kind of really lacks a lot of personality also in this movie,
Yeah.
and I like her too. I think she's good, but not in this, and that's not really her fault. I think she's just written poorly, but I really just like Charles Magneto. I do like Wolverine in this, although I don't like his shift. I kind of like him more when we're introduced to him. I think to me, I think he gets a little silly here and there, especially when he's introduced to Jean.
Yeah.
I was telling Jake earlier, he becomes a little like sassy and sarcastic. I don't know if Wolverine's like that. I don't think he is.
No, he
Who
is.
else? He is.
He That's another thing is the Logan and Wolverine that we get. Like I don't know if there's really a I guess Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart are probably the most accurate in terms
Mm-hmm.
of like portrayal. Like and again, like
Yeah.
when you're talking comic accuracy, it is tough because it's like, well, what comic are you reading? But like
Right.
as an overarching, like, do they capture the essence of the character? None of the X-Men movies, to me, like, they do a good job of making Wolverine an interesting character, and a lot of that is Hugh Jackman's performance, which is very good. But he is supposed to be like a stinky, smelly, little grumbly, angry Canadian. And
Mm-hmm.
like Hugh Jackman just doesn't play him that
He's
way, and
yeah,
he's not written that way. Like he's
and he's
like
very
they
cute too.
like
He's very cute.
he's very good looking, and it's like, obviously I know it's Hollywood, so they're not going to cast like an ugly
Yeah.
person, but like if you read like an X-Men comic, especially like from what I've read in that like Chris Claremont run, like they're calling him like stinky and smelly in like every other time they interact with him. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
like this little asshole who's more of a nuisance than he is like a core valued team member, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Who else? Storm feels barely in it, and feels so everyone just kind of feels a little too dry, and it feels like it's hard. I know, because you're doing this big setup movie with this big team, so
Yeah.
you're trying to do you're trying to introduce and build each character and like tell the audience what they do without I don't without like pandering to them too much. I don't know how well they do that, but so it doesn't seem like anyone gets their moment except for Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen and Wolverine. It's like those
Hmm.
three, and then everyone else just kind of is like sidelined, where it's like no one's really excelling. It's just kind of like they have a couple scenes, and I don't know. I just think I don't know if everyone's written that well. I think Rogue like has potential, but I can't tell if I dislike her performance more, or like or how they. She just feels like helpless and like naive to everything,
Hmm.
and I don't know if that's how accurate it is to her. I've heard it's not.
It
So
It's not, and but like I guess reading up a little bit more about this movie, and this they had been trying to develop an X-Men movie for like most of the 90s. There was a point in time where it looked like James Cameron was going to produce an X-Men movie that was directed by Catherine Bigelow. There was one point a little bit later on they offered Robert Rodriguez the opportunity to direct. And what really had killed the whole James Cameron produced thing is that they were like, "Oh, we're also going to try to do Spider-Man," and immediately James Cameron was like, "All right, fuck X-Men. I want to like work with Spider-Man."
mhm.
But yeah, so I mean, they were trying to develop this movie for a while, and then they kind of had approached Bryan Singer, who was coming fresh off the success of The Usual Suspects, which is a really great movie, very very well directed, very well written, and very well acted. And they had kind of offered it to him, and he really didn't like the idea of doing a superhero movie at first. But I guess what really sold him is that whole isolation and oppression that the X-Men constantly deal with
Mhm.
in the comics, and that's why it's such a big focal point of the story of this movie.
Which
And
I
he
do think is a strong point of this. I do like that part of like
Yeah,
the overall script of this movie. I think it is. I think it does help the movie and like push it.
it's what I thought was kind of cool about returning to this first X-Men movie. Oh, but the last thing I just wanted to get away with, like the pre-production of this movie, was Bryan Singer specifically wanted to focus on Rogue as a character because he thought her powers were the best representation of isolation, because she literally
Hmm.
cannot touch somebody without almost killing them. So I thought
Yeah.
that's I guess explains why he wanted to focus on that character at least. But it is there was something, and again, I don't hate this movie. I think this movie is competent. I think it's fine. There are some extremely dated visual effects, especially like the eye blasts from Cyclops look fucking terrible. The one of the big plot points of this movie is that Magneto has this machine where he can turn people into mutants, and when he does it, this like big glowy white wave of energy like starts filling the room
You
that
don't
they're
like
in.
that?
No, it looks so bad. It looks like an actual, and again, it's a 26-year-old movie, so I don't want to harp on it too much, but And like, I don't know, it didn't work. So a couple dated effects and stuff, but there was sort of a charm to returning to this now after all these years of superhero movies being super prominent. There was something a little bit charming about there being like, in the same way, like returning to those Raimi movies where, oh, the plot isn't just like world-ending threat. There isn't this like massive sense of huge scale. There's not like a big blue sky beam that's gonna destroy everything. It's a very sort of personal story about a problem, this oncoming war that these mutants feel is coming between humans and mutants, and how you have these two characters who have dealt with this for decades and their different approaches to it. And any true comic fan who has read enough X-Men, even with my limited knowledge, will tell you that the whole comparison of MLK and Malcolm X to Professor X and Magneto is not a good comparison. I kind of understand where that parallel is being drawn, but like you read enough and you realize like no, that maybe there's like a little inkling of similarities and parallels you could draw, but it's really not like a true sound comparison. But it is interesting. Again, I guess that's my point, is it's interesting to return to a movie like this after like the X-Men, or hell, even like the recent run of X-Men movies that were in, but obviously before Disney bought them and now they're a part of Marvel and everything. But like the old Fox ones, like towards the end there, you had like X-Men Apocalypse, which is like a world-ending threat, and he's fucking raising all the nukes into the air and whatnot. And he doesn't fucking do anything with them, but either way, that's my point. Is I just think, even though I don't love this movie and it is very dry, I also think you have to look at like the state of superhero cinema at the time. This is like fresh off of, what? This is 2 years, 3 years removed from Batman and Robin. Like,
Yeah.
like they really wanted to strip down the goofy silliness, and they almost shoot this movie like, I see this comment a lot. This movie's almost shot like a political thriller, like from the way that it's lit to the way it's written to just like how dark and kind of, again, dry the scenes are tonally. It's just not a fun movie, if you ask me. I think that's my biggest issue. I want a fun... If you're not going to be great like The Dark Knight or Logan, I need you to at least be fun. And this movie's just not fun.
It's interesting because I feel like a lot of people do have fun with this movie, and a lot of people do love this movie as a superhero movie, not even like a political story. So,
do people love this movie?
But I get it. Oh, I thought like not really like they think it's great. I think people just have like a soft spot for it, and I think a lot of people have fun with it from what I've like I was like reading. I don't know. It's because I was like I can't remember if people actually like this movie for like for what it is, or if it's kind of like, I don't know, like I didn't watch this one a lot. I think I watched X2 a lot more.
Oh yeah. 2 is so much better than this first one.
I didn't. Yeah, no, it's. I don't know. I think I was kind of like I wasn't having like a blast with it, but I don't think I was hating it as much as you in terms of like your enjoyment. You were like very
do you not
bored
think
with
though?
it.
Do you not think that it takes itself so serious? Like it takes itself.
It's weird because I think it is
seriously.
silly sometimes. I think it is silly, but where I don't think it should be. Like I think like the stuff with Wolverine and Cyclops, like I think they have like this bickering going on. I think Wolverine is a little too goofy sometimes. But I don't know Wolverine from like the comics, but like the Wolverine in Logan, that's what I thought Wolverine was more so as like an overall character, just like that kind of like tone and attitude, not like this cute flirty guy.
No, it's again, there are like, because Logan is based off of a specific comic, the Old Man Logan comic, which is a very mature and like
but even like the clone
story
you get in that one, I thought that like that Wolverine I thought was more like, I thought that's how he was more like.
I mean, like again, like I've only really read like a good portion of the Claremont run, which is like one of the more famous runs. But in that run, like he is kind of treated like he has his moments, and like he is like a very loyal character, but and that's like obviously his strongest suit because you know he has like a military background, so he's kind of got that in his blood, that sort of loyalty inside of him. But no, he is, you know, he is like a little asshole, like a little grumbly fucking, again, stinky, smelly little asshole, and like he's treated that way. Like they constantly call him names and are like you smell so bad. Like
But
they'll
not in
just say,
this.
no, no. In this movie, they again, I don't know. Like I get the rogue thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just because Wolverine and has always been such like a popular character. Like he's got a very fun design. He's got a rather strong backstory, which you only really get a little glimpse of in this movie. They expand
Hmm.
like way heavier on it in X2, but yeah, it's, I don't know. There was just so many moments in this film where, and I'm viewing it obviously through like a modern superhero lens, which is maybe
Yeah.
not fair, but like if you compare it to like Iron Man, or you compare it to like that recent Superman movie that came out last year, you know, even movies like Logan, I feel like, and The Dark Knight, which are more serious, they don't take themselves as seriously. Like they
Hmm.
do and they
Well, even
don't. Like,
Spider-Man, you know, we could even talk about a movie that came out 2 years later that, you know, that does have
yeah.
it's serious moments, but it's so, I mean, it's like fun from like start to finish. So,
Yeah.
but I will say with X-Men, a lot of it felt forgettable. And I don't, and like, even though I do
Yeah.
appreciate like how it opens and how that carries throughout the film, I do like the messages it brings in. I think it does a good job staying relevant 25 years later, even more so now than probably back then.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. So I think that's a strong suit, but I do think, yes, I don't really remember a ton of action sequences. I think Mystique is pretty fun, but um, I
Oh,
don't. I
sorry. I have
you
a really fun fact about her.
lay it on me.
So this is like some old school stuff, and this is the stuff that I love. I mean, it sounds miserable, but it's just like a cool detail. Rebecca Roman's makeup as Mystique consisted of 110 custom designed prostheses, which covered 60% of her body and took 9 hours to apply. She could not drink wine. She couldn't use skin creams nor fly the day before filming because it would have caused her body chemistry to change slightly, causing the prosthetics to fall off.
Jesus
Like
Christ.
that's
How
crazy.
so each time 9 hours.
Yeah, each time it took 9 hours to put that makeup on
I
her.
wonder when they would start putting that on. Like when
Dude,
I mean,
there's I
she's
it's
not in it that much, so you know,
no.
good thing her scenes probably don't like
Yeah. Her
it's not like
effects
the Grinch, you
actually
know, where
her
it's
effects hold up, I think, pretty well. Like during the
mhm.
transformation scenes, like they're some of the better. There was another fact that I had read too, and I don't have this one written down, so I'm just trying to recall it from memory. But it was like, so a couple of the characters have different changing eyes. So like when Storm changes and uses her powers, her eyes get like really glassy. Apparently with her, they tried to give her these like opaque, I forget how to say it, but they're like these white hazy contacts. She
Mhm.
tried them once, said it was miserable, couldn't do it. Tyler Mane, who plays Sabretooth in the movie, he had like those blacked out ones. He alternatively wore his for too long that it temporarily blinded him for an entire day. And
Wow.
yeah,
Jeez.
dude, he was a trooper. He tried, and whereas like Halle Berry tried it once and was like, "Nope, you're gonna have to CGI my eyes," which I think the effect on
Mm.
her eyes looks fine. And I believe Mystique was the other character who had like the effects on her eyes that had that like that greenish look to it when she would kind of
Mhm.
reveal herself as Mystique. But
I
yeah,
think I was gonna say I hate Magneto's henchmen in this overall. I just don't they feel so they're not like they don't feel like
yeah,
threats at all compared to like I mean like Sabretooth and Wolverine. Sabretooth is like a very watered down Wolverine. I don't even understand the threat there.
yeah.
So
He's
I
got
hate
he's got the
Sabretooth in
look
this.
down. Like I like his look better in this than I probably do like X-Men Origins. Like, no shade
Mm.
to Liev Schreiber, who probably gives a better performance, probably because they allow him to say like more than 4 words. Like, most of Sabretooth's dialogue in this movie is him just growling. Like, every time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
forgot that he could talk in this movie, because every time they talk to him, he just goes roar, and then at one point he's holding Storm up by the throat, and I was like, oh, he's gonna growl at her again, and instead he says something like, "I want you to scream for me," or something like that.
Yeah. I just don't I so that kind of takes me out of it because
Yeah,
like I get maybe Magneto just could not find anyone that's on his side that are any more powerful, so that's what he had to roll with, but I just don't buy
yeah.
into any of them. Literally any standing a chance against like any five of these guys. But
Sabretooth seems like an actual physical threat, probably because Tyler Mane is just a massive man. I think he's like 6'7", 6'8". Did you know that's who plays Michael Myers in the Rob Zombie Halloweens?
no.
Yeah, that's him.
No. Wow.
Because Rob Zombie decided to say, hey, yeah, you remember Michael Myers, 5'10", 5'11", normal height Michael Myers? Well, now he's the size of a goddamn WWE wrestler.
Yeah.
So they cast Tyler Mane, which the Halloween, the recent trilogy, also did. Like, James Jude Courtney is only like 6'4", 6'5", but why is he so fucking tall? Either way, that's a completely separate franchise to talk about.
Same reason Wolverine's a foot taller than his character.
Yeah, well, that's another fun fact, because Scott Summers, Cyclops, is supposed to be taller than Wolverine, like He's literally supposed to be like 6'4", and Wolverine is canonically like 5'3". Whereas Hugh Jackman is 6'2". So they gave James Marsden lifts in his shoes in this movie to make him appear taller. But yeah, you bring up his little minions, Toad and Sabretooth, and that's my opening quote is what Storm says to Toad in the final climax where they're fighting, and she says, "You know what happens to a toad when it gets struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else." And it is by far and away the most memed line of dialogue in this movie, because it's beyond fucking stupid and it doesn't make any sense in the context of the scene. But the reason is because in the original script, and they had, I believe, filmed them saying this, but it ended up not making it into the movie. Don't quote me on that, though. I'm not sure if they filmed it, but I know it was at the very least in the original script. Throughout the movie, Toad, Ray Park, he would have constantly been dropping fun facts about toads. Like, oh, fun fact about toads, this, and this. Little trivia facts. So when at the end of the movie, Storm claps back at him by saying, "You know what happens to toads?" Like, it just kind of like, combating him using words or whatever. But when you cut out all of the scenes of Toad saying those lines,
Yeah.
there's no setup for the payoff. So all you have is the payoff. So it makes no fucking sense.
Why'd they have that in there? Why not
I don't
why not
know.
just put them in? Yeah. I mean,
I don't know, man. It's silly, but it is a fun little trivia fact that I always think is funny.
I did read that the truck driver that drops Rogue off at the where does she go? Where she finds Wolverine? Whatever,
Canada.
like underground. Yeah. That guy I think is the guy that voices Beast in the animated series.
Oh, no way. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I did not know that. Yeah, there was actually some decent kind of trivia about this movie. One that I thought was interesting, and it makes sense, like, why maybe, like, from just like a character and like enjoying the X-Men. They're not one of my favorites, but I do rather like the X-Men. But this is the only film outside of First Class that is not based on a specific comic book or comic book run of the X-Men. Every single other X-Men movie is based on either one or two or three that are combined together comics for the script. So, and that like that's what I kind of feel about this movie, is that there's a lot of meandering going on, and I kind of brought up at the beginning that like I have certain filmmaking issues. The opening 10 minutes of this movie are ridiculously over edited. Like, you are jumping around so fucking much, and probably the best scene in the movie is, for me at least, is the first scene with Magneto as a kid. And that's when I was like, Oh yeah, I forgot how serious and dark this movie is. We're literally opening up on the fucking Holocaust. Like
Does that
that's
happen in the comics at all? Is that like a, or is
yeah,
that, was that for the?
he's a survivor of the Holocaust.
Okay.
And that's like a literal, like extremely important aspect of his character. That's why he hates humans so much, is
Yeah.
because before he even knew he was a mutant, he saw how humans treated people who they viewed as different than them. So he's that like it's a very interesting part of his character,
But you
which
said
is
like most, like everything else in this movie is just like original. Nothing's from like like
I'm
you said
sure.
it's not
No,
really
yeah,
from like any comic story or.
yeah. It said this
Okay.
this one and First Class are the only two in the series that are not based on like a specific run. Like X2, has a specific comic. The Last Stand is obviously based on like the Dark Phoenix saga, which is so good in the comics and has just been fucked up twice by these fucking Fox X-Men movies. They just cannot get the goddamn Phoenix story down. Stop
Should I
trying
read
it.
it before we watch Last Stand?
I'd recommend it. If you don't want to read it, the animated show does a very good version of it as
Okay.
well. Like they build it up over multiple episodes. But yeah, the X-Men cartoon is such a great adaptation, and X-Men '97 is so fucking good. One of the best animated shows I've seen in a while. Yeah, I really didn't take a ton of notes for this movie. I did see too that Hugh Jackman, to get into the headspace of Wolverine, who's like, angry and grizzled, is he would constantly wake up early and take cold showers to get
Yeah,
him pissed
I
off.
read that.
So
I thought that's because he actually didn't have hot water,
it started out that
and he
way.
had to. Okay.
Yeah, it started out that way. Like, I think he went in to take a shower and it was cold because there was no hot water. And he realized in that moment, like, oh, this pisses me off. Like, if I do this, like, I can get in that headspace.
Apparently, his opening was one of the last things they shot, and that's why he's so much more jacked in that scene than like every other scene in the movie.
Dude, it is crazy to look back. Yeah, I had read up that fact too, that he like looks different in different scenes because like he kept working out through the course of filming, which is funny. But it's so funny to like return to this movie and see him shirtless, like when he first arrives at the X-Men mansion and he, wakes up and he's making his way through, has his shirt off, and like, yeah, he's got some muscles, but then you look at like a movie like X-Men Origins Wolverine when he
Oh
comes
my
out
god,
of the vat for the first time, and he's like one of the most cut,
Jesus
zero
Christ!
body fat looking dudes you'll ever see in a movie. Like the veins are like popping out and bulging. It's like, how did we get, oh, steroids, that's the answer.
Do you? So
Yeah.
Wolverine, is he ever like shredded like that, or he seems like a bulky, muscular guy?
I feel like I don't see him shirtless as much in the comics, and like the ones that I've read are, let's just say, they're very old. They're from like 70s, 80s. So
Mm-hmm.
the artwork is a little bit less detailed back then than it is in like certain modern comics where like the line work is like super precise. So like
Mm-hmm.
when you see muscles in like an old 70s, 80s comic, it doesn't quite hit the same as like
Yeah.
nowadays. But yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing that a lot of comic book fans criticize about Jackman, is that he simply is just too tall. People, myself included, like if we're going forward and they're going to reboot the X-Men in the MCU, which I definitely think they're going to do, and go with a brand new cast moving forward post Secret War, I'd love to see like a really short, stout, bulky like Wolverine. I think that would be cool to see, like cast like a little 5'3" actor. I know a big fan cast in the last couple of years has been Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine, and I think that would be, I could imagine him like bulking up. It would be
Oh my
great. I
god,
I would love it.
how tall is he?
He's 5'5". He's shorter than I am.
Is he? Wow.
Yeah, I think he stopped growing around Goblet of Fire. I think that's when he hit his.
Wow. He doesn't
Yeah.
even seem that short in those movies. I
Yes, he
feel like.
does. He's like the same
Does he
height as Emma.
really?
He's like the same height as Emma Watson.
Wow, I never noticed really.
Yeah, like it's funny in the later movies, like because like in like Deathly Hollows when they're on the stairs before Harry has to go into the Dark Forest, like you could tell that like you know, Hermione's shorter, women are typically shorter, but Daniel Radcliffe is like her height, if not like maybe a little shorter. And then like Rupert Grint is like clearly taller and hovering above both of them. And he's not even that tall to begin with either. So, oh, one of my notes that I think was super prominent in this movie, dude, there's so much exposition. I feel like the
Yes.
first 40 minutes of this movie, and the one scene I do like of exposition, I liked the music, I liked the visuals, is just Professor X explaining the school to Logan, and it's like a little kind of montage, which made me ask out loud because my roommate was watching a little bit with me. I was like, if you're a mutant and you're playing basketball, is it traveling if you pass to yourself after teleporting? Because that's what
Has to
that
be.
kid that's what that kid
Has to
does.
be.
Yeah.
Wait, so did you have anything to say about Iceman? Right?
Yeah, he sucks in this movie. He doesn't
But
do
you
anything.
like him, right? Like
He's a
you
great
like him a
comic
lot?
book character, yeah. I feel like none of these movies ever do him right. I mean,
Yeah.
he has a good scene in the second X-Men movie, but I don't think that actor is the strongest either.
I don't either.
Like,
I don't think anyone is that strong in this, and I'm interested to see if they get better because I haven't seen X2 in a long time, so I really don't remember how they compare. So I'm interested to see that. But yeah, in this movie, no one was really doing it for me except for like the two like powerhouse actors.
yeah, the two like
Of,
veteran British actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't
They
know.
are perfectly cast, I think. Like
Yeah.
Ian,
Yeah.
I might actually slightly prefer Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy in their roles, but it's hard to compare because they're playing much younger versions of
Yeah.
them. But cut to like Days of Future Past, where like one of the best scenes in all of X-Men is like James McAvoy and Patrick Stewart acting off of each other. That is like awesome. Like you
Gotta
just don't get
rewatch
to
those,
see that.
honestly. I haven't seen those in a while. I
Yeah,
haven't seen those
I'll
since they came
probably.
out, really.
Oh, for real? Yeah. I'll probably throw those on when we get closer to Doomsday. Like, I don't know. Maybe we'll see how much free time we have. Maybe we'll do like bonus episodes or something. We'll see. No promises, but I wrote at some point Toad is the MVP of this movie. I don't know why. Oh, I think it's because he like eats a bird. It's when he when he eats a fucking bird. He just
Why
like
can't I even remember that? I can't even remember that happening.
I don't even remember at what point in the movie it is. Oh, it's right before Magneto tests the machine on himself, and the only reason I remember that is because Ian McKellen's face is the goofiest, funniest thing of all time when he's like getting like the machine is doing whatever it's doing, and it keeps cutting to Ian McKellen's face, and he's like it's fucking it's so good.
I gotta. Yeah, I don't even remember that. I don't remember that happening.
Dude, do you,
that's the
you
thing,
remember Toad's dance though? The when he's fighting in the climax and like he does like a little Peter Pan dance like mid fight.
No, no. I
like
don't.
almost spit my water out. It was so good. Oh yeah.
That's the thing. I feel like this movie is kind of forgettable in a lot of its sequences. The thing I remember is a lot of like some of the school stuff, but those actiony sequences, I can't really like remember that much. I do remember the train station, like some of that. Right, that's where they're in a train station.
Yeah, because Rogue gets tricked by Mystique, who is pretending to be Iceman, and walks up to her and is like, "Get the fuck out of here." It's essentially.
I have to try to understand Magneto's plan. It was to like transfer his powers to Rogue to work the machine because it almost killed him, right? How does he not get affected by like giving her his powers?
Well, he does.
Everyone else.
Because he like he even says to Sabretooth at one point, he's like, I need you by me. You're my only security because when I use this machine, I will be weakened and I won't have my powers. So I need you to like protect me.
Yeah, but like Wolverine like almost like dies more than Magneto does, and I feel like Magneto would need to like I don't know, that's a big task to give your power to work this machine to make all humans mutants. I assume you would have to give her more time with your power, which means more time of sucking your life force, which means you should be more affected than
Yeah.
Wolverine giving. I don't know. I just
It's
don't get
not
how
a
he's.
very. It's a very stupid plan. The plot in this movie is like
Yeah.
razor
So I feel
thin.
like that's where like I'm kind of in on the first two acts. I I still have my issues throughout, like more so with like the character work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like the third act, it just feels a little empty to me. I'm even okay with like having it lower scaled, but I don't know. I just felt like we weren't really given much in terms of like fun sequences, action sequences, stuff like that. It just felt a little, I don't know,
The
little
action,
hollow
yeah. No,
in
the
the
action in
execution
this
there.
the action in this movie is like incredibly weak. It is, especially like even if you compare it to Spider-Man, the first one, when that like there's nothing in this movie that comes close to that abandoned warehouse fight at the end with Green Goblin in that movie. The choreography looks really clunky at certain points. There's some times where like the physics, and I know it's stupid to complain about fucking physics in a superhero movie, but if this movie is going to act all grounded and realistic and take this like self-serious approach, there's a point when Wolverine is fighting Sabretooth. Fun fact,
And it
they're
just gets launched.
they're brothers, and this movie just does not once ever address that fact. Like,
Are they?
yeah, they're brothers.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Have you seen X-Men Origins Wolverine?
Nope.
Okay, yeah.
No.
Fucking his name's not even Logan either. It's fucking Jimmy. Like that is like he does get the name Logan later on, but it's they really don't. It's so funny. Well, dude, fucking what is it? In the third movie, you get why am I blanking on his name? Oh my gosh. Juggernaut. I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. Juggernaut is Professor X's half brother. These movies don't bring that up either.
Yeah.
Which is great. But yeah, the action in this movie, it's very clunky. The choreography is very slow. It's very like poorly shot. There's like not many wide shots. It's like the camera is always like really close up on the characters. And going back to the physics thing, like at one point they're fighting. I do think it's cool that the whole climax kind of takes place at the Statue of Liberty. That's kind of a neat place to, because I don't know if it had really been done up to that point in a superhero movie, so it might have been the first one to do that. Again, don't quote me on that. I'm just taking a stab in the dark, I guess. But at one point, like Wolverine gets like launched up and like uses his claws to swing around part of the statue. But like the way that he swings up is like it just doesn't physically make any sense how he gets to where he gets. Either way, it's like you said, the action's not memorable in this movie. There's not really a good memorable action sequence. I'll tell you what is fucking memorable is the absolutely disgusting shit that they do with Senator Kelly in this movie. Oh my god, when he like it starts when he's trying to escape Magneto's prison and he is like trying to shove his head.
His eyes like just start coming out.
Yeah, they like bulge out. And then even more disgusting is when he dies because they get him back to the X-Men, or he shows up at the X-Men mansion and like seeks their help. And like he's on the table and he's like, I don't want to be alone. And like Storm is like holding his hand and then he starts like convulsing and like almost, I don't know what the word is, like implodes into like a messy goo of water and just wetness.
Yeah.
It is horrifying. It's somehow more horrifying than anything that happens in Josh Trank's Fant Four Stick. Like when that we highlighted in that movie the gross body horror shit. I had forgotten all of that in this movie because like I haven't seen this movie in a while either. But just yeah.
Did you think that stuff looked bad?
Yeah, it still didn't look great. I guess for
I think when he's like going through the cell,
movie,
I don't think that looks that good. But I think when he dies, I didn't think that looked that awful, to be honest.
It's not one of the worst effects in the movie, but it's definitely.
Like, I'm trying to think where we were with superhero movies and effects, like in 2000.
Not great. So like again, it's like, what am I even complaining about? But
and I do appreciate
like that hurts the movie.
I wish I read some more practical stuff they did, but like the Wolverine's like knives coming out of his hands. I think in the beginning,
those look great.
I think that looks really good.
Yeah,
so there are like some
No, 100%
There's
agree.
good
Even
practical stuff they do.
me and Brian pointed that out. We were like, "Oh, that was a sick effect." Like the close up shot of the knife coming out of his. Oh, that was awesome. Absolutely
Yeah.
adored that. Yeah, I mean, all around, it's just, again, I like, yeah, there's some sillier moments. But I don't think they knew that they were being silly. I think this movie just, at its core, it was trying so hard to take itself serious and have such a self-serious tone throughout the entire film that, like, there's never many bits of fun. And when I'm laughing at it, or when I'm like enjoying it, it's usually because I'm laughing at the movie and
Yeah.
it taking itself so serious. I think if they would have just had a little bit more fun, like, I'm not saying you need to go Batman and Robin level or like Superman
Right.
4
But
Quest for
like
Peace, but
have your any of your characters. We talked about this with Fantastic Four. The only person that seems to be enjoying what is like this, like their powers, is Johnny.
yeah.
You don't see any of them really like having fun or like even liking the fact that they're mutants, or I don't know. And I feel like they do. I feel like, I don't know. They're the only person that I get is Rogue, but everyone else just kind of, I guess,
Yeah.
is kind of like being like overly serious, and no one really
Yeah.
seems like they kind of like who they are. And I think the core of like X-Men is that they do like where like what they are, and I don't know. So
No.
there's
And
like a
even,
couple
like, the
scenes
way
in the
they
beginning where they're
dress.
like
Yeah.
they're like the one guy's playing with the fire, and then like Iceman like freezes it. There's like that little bit where they're
That's a good little
kinda
bit,
like,
yeah.
but like maybe more of that, stuff
Exactly.
like
Like, even like, again, you don't need to be as silly as like the Tim Story Fantastic Four movies, and they definitely go way too hard and do it for too long in that movie. But it's
that.
fun watching those characters like use their powers and experience their powers. Like, that's part of why you
Yeah.
enjoy watching superhero movies, especially when this is like the first one and you're setting the foundation. I do want to see, like, again, like one of the best sequences in a superhero movie is that first Raimi Spider-Man movie, like, of Peter just learning about his powers and experiencing his powers. This one is like a fucking horror movie. Like, within the first 10 minutes, we're getting a Holocaust scene, and the Holocaust scene is followed up by, you want to talk about like character introductions. The way that they introduce Ian McKellen's Magneto in this film is like very similar to how they do Victor Von Doom in that Tim Story one. He's like all cloaked in shadows, even though they're in like
Yeah.
a brightly lit hallway. He's like a silhouette. And then you cut from that to like oh, we're meeting our protagonist Rogue, and she almost kills her fucking boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like,
But
it's not a fun
that's
movie.
that's from the comics, right? Like that
Yeah,
does
no,
happen.
it's just like all of it in tandem is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I didn't really talk about it too much, but like, yeah, the way that this movie is shot, the lighting, it's so dark and dim, and the way that the characters are dressed, and like they're literally having lines of dialogue where they're like afraid to be a comic book movie. Like, I think it's this one where Wolverine is like talking about their outfits and like, oh, like you guys like black leather or whatever, and Cyclops is like, oh, well, what would you prefer, yellow spandex? Yeah, I would actually. I would
Yeah.
love that. I would love it. And the fact that it took us, when did so 23 years to finally get the iconic yellow Wolverine costume with the mask, and it, like, that's crazy to me. Like, I don't know. These movies, I think, just very early on, and I get it's the state of cinema, but they were just so afraid to be a fun comic book movie. In the same way that, like, I think Man of Steel is afraid of its roots. You're trying so hard to make Superman this realistic, gritty approach, and you're forgetting what people like about the character, and comic books in general is just kind of where I am with this movie, I guess.
Oh, I wish Sam Raimi did a gritty, like afraid to go red and blue like spider costume, or she did just a full on super serious, just leather Spider-Man that doesn't actually like it's just like an outfit.
He wouldn't, though,
Wish he
because Sam Raimi loves goofy shit too much. Like, the guy loves like Three Stooges. Like, it's great. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much left to
I'm
say
checking if I
about
have
this
any
movie.
other notes. No, not
I will
really.
say one of the cooler effects and moments is I do like when Magneto is walking and he's building the platform in front of him with his mind as he walks. Like, he's walking, I think, with like Sabretooth or Toad,
Yeah.
and like every step he's taking, he's like adding another piece of the walkway. I thought that was kind of cool. And
Yeah, and
I like the final scene with Professor X and Magneto where they're playing chess.
I have that chessboard.
Oh,
So those are some
really?
nice pieces.
Yeah.
I have the pieces. The board is a little different, but it is a glass board, but it's not like, I don't think it's as big, but the pieces, the frosted and clear glass. Oh man, those are nice. Those are nice.
Yeah. They look so good. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I really hate how the first 10 minutes play out. It reminds me of I'm not sure if you've ever seen Star Wars Rogue One, but just like the beginning
Mm-mm.
10 minutes of that movie where it's like, holy fuck, we've been to 6 different planets in like a 10-minute time frame, and
No,
that's this
yeah,
movie.
I haven't seen that still.
I will say I do a part of it. That's 100% just nostalgia. It was the same with the Raimi movies. I love those early 2000s like
Oh,
graphic
yeah.
intros with like the 3D rendered CGI. There's
As I
just
was playing, I
something
was like,
about
"Oh
'em.
man, Jake's probably having a field day with this."
Yeah.
Those
Yeah, I
you
enjoyed that a
spend
lot.
like, I don't even know how much time you spend on those credits, but
Yeah, but no,
I don't know, I do
the
kind of
last
miss
thing
them.
the last thing I do really unironically enjoy about this movie is I like the score a lot. I think the score is pretty solid. I definitely think it enhances some scenes. There's like a very whimsical, mystical vibe to some of the tracks that were composed for this movie that I think definitely help the movie feel a little bit more fun, even though, again, it looks and is shot like a political thriller. But yeah, so
Yeah, so yeah, we'll see how X-Men 2 is, because I remember it being a lot more fun. So
it's so much. I watched it
I'm
like
re-
6 months ago. It's so much
I'm
better.
wondering what the shift was, why they chose to like just, go in like such a different direction. I mean, it was made
Well,
what, 2 years later?
yeah, I think it's 2 years. Well,
Like what
I don't even know if it
yeah.
goes in that much of a different direction. It's just a much better movie. It's a much better written story, a very
I just
compelling
remember the action
villain.
sequences even being like, I wonder why those are
Oh,
much better.
yeah, the
So like
Nightcrawler scene.
oh my
Yeah,
god,
yeah,
yeah,
buddy.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about
That
that.
shit's nice.
That's
Yeah.
that it still to this day baffles me how good it holds up in terms of just
I
like the
know.
VFX, but we'll get into that next episode. But yeah, do you have anything else, or do you think we should get into scores?
Yeah, no, I'm ready for scores. I think I'm set on a score.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. We just didn't have a ton to say about this. I'm impressed that we even got, an hour out of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry if we sounded a little low energy, too. We normally record a lot earlier in the day than we do right now. So, I'm just a little tired. It's been a long weekend. So,
But
yeah,
I
sorry
can
if
I
we
can
sounded
start
low.
I can start us off on a score for this.
Sweet. Let's hear it.
I'm gonna go with a clean 6 out of 10 for X-Men.
Fuck. All right. Well, not to sound like a copycat, but I'm giving it also a clean 6 out of 10.
I had
know
a
it-
feeling Jake would be right at a 6, so I was like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
just meet him right there with a 6. Yeah, I don't.
No,
This is like I think it's pretty decent. I think it's like, I think it's pretty good. But
competent.
yeah, I do. Yeah. So
All right.
I'm excited for X2. I was, I was
Yeah.
really looking forward to getting through this one to get to X2. So
X2
we'll see if I
is
even like it
just,
as much. Maybe I'll hate it. Who knows? I
Oh,
don't
we'll
think so.
see. It's got Brian Cox in it.
Yeah. See, I don't remember a lot of it,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Excited about X-Men 2. Excited to talk about that in the next episode of Franchise Deep Dive. But before we get out of here, we always, before we like to do our little plugs and everything, we like to do a little question that is up for discussion. And unfortunately, I cannot remember who went last episode. I don't
I
remember.
thought I thought I did, but now I'm wondering if you actually ended up asking a question, because I might have said the same thing last time. I don't
cannot
remember.
remember. Oh my gosh.
Um,
I didn't edit that episode yet. Oh wait, we're not even gonna know because it's gonna be Scream 7,
oh yeah.
which we haven't seen yet. All right.
All right.
Okay,
Whoever could
let's-
think of a question.
Yeah, I got one.
Faster.
In the vein
Oh, wow.
of superheroes, who's your favorite low-key superhero? So no Batman, no Spider-Man, but like a more under the radar character. I'm not saying you have to pick one that hasn't had a movie or hasn't had a show, but one that's a little bit more, again, like a little more niche, a little more under the radar.
I always think about this question, and I just don't think it's fair for me to answer because I just don't read
It could
enough.
be a villain too.
Honestly,
It could be a villain. If you got
oh, it can be a
like
villain.
a Batman villain that doesn't get as much attention, like I don't want to hear no Joker, no nonsense
Um,
like that.
Honestly, mostly because like I'm intrigued to finally see. I'll just say this guy, Hush. I
Good
would
one.
just love to see more of.
Yeah, Hush is a
So
great
I'm just
character.
gonna I'm gonna go with him.
All right. He's got a show, but he's still not one of the more popular characters. I really like Moon Knight from Marvel.
Really?
Yeah, Moon Knight is
Oh,
awesome. If you guys want to check out some comics from him, I definitely recommend the 2014 Moon Knight run. I forget the writer's name, but it's a really cool run. There's a cool little twist in it. It's a cool comic, and it gives you a good idea of Moon Knight as a character. The show was fine. I enjoyed the show. The CGI, I really just wish they had gone with like a practical Moon Knight suit. And like part of what I love about the way Moon Knight is drawn in the comics is he's so bright. Like the white suit is so bright, and he says it in the comics and in that run. The reason he wears white is because he wants his enemies to see him coming. I think that's so badass and super cool. But in the show, it's kind of like a dingy white, and it doesn't pop as much. So yeah,
I
Moon
thought you
Knight
were gonna
is
say
great.
Green Arrow.
Fuck Green Arrow. Green Arrow sucks.
I always forget. You used to be a big Green Arrow guy, right?
No, when I was a teenager, I liked the CW show Arrow, which
Okay,
is in hindsight not a good TV show. But now I like the Flash
gotcha.
way more than I like Green Arrow's characters and Green Lantern too, specifically the Jon Stewart Green Lantern, which I'm very excited for in the new HBO show Lanterns. All right, cool. So, yeah, guys, thank you
Yeah.
again for listening to this episode of Franchise Deep Dive or watching it. We upload anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and we also upload to my personal YouTube channel, Former Film Student, where I post other TV and movie related content. But that is it for me.
And once again, head on over to the two main socials, Instagram and TikTok at Franchise Deep Dive. Get a look at the shorts to get a taste of each episode that's coming out and stay up to date on what we're coming out with in the future. Always appreciate a follow, like, or comment, or DM us any. I gotta stop saying this because our 2026 is booked. So
Yeah.
any suggestions, I'm afraid it won't be able to go into effect until 2027, possibly. So haven't got
If
any
you
suggestions yet.
get it on
though.
the ground running, suggest now so a year from now we might do it.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. So go over there. Always appreciate you guys' support, and look forward to chatting with you guys about X2 next week.
Yeah, very excited to rewatch that movie. Again, I saw it a couple months ago. Still hits. Still hits. All right, guys. Well, we will see you.
I did want to say when I was
Yeah.
watching X-Men, Lauren's never seen it until this time, and she was like, okay, I really love Mystique, and she's got to be the most powerful, right? Because she was thinking, and I was kind of confused for a second. If she also gets the power when she changes them, it's just appearance. So that kind of
Yes,
weakened.
because the claws are not his mutation. Really, his mutation is like the healing factor.
Okay.
So she's
Yeah.
able to mimic. Yeah. Now, in terms of powerful, Magneto, Professor X, and in a lot of comics, Iceman is insanely powerful.
Really? I thought isn't Jean Grey like at the top always?
Jean Grey is very powerful. Phoenix Jean Grey is like
Yeah.
ridiculously powerful. But yeah, those are the main ones. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Cool. So again, thank you guys for watching this episode or listening to this episode. That is it for the guys over at Franchise Deep Dive. Goodbye.
Later.